Jack Nicklaus spent decades protecting the traditions that made professional golf valuable. Now, according to the explosive scenario surrounding Brian Rolapp's 2028 overhaul, the Golden Bear is becoming the symbol of a sponsor rebellion capable of tearing the PGA Tour's new blueprint apart before it even begins. The warning is simple: preserve the historic tournaments that built the tour, or risk watching billion-dollar corporate partners reconsider where their money goes. That does not mean Nicklaus has publicly announced a secret sponsor coalition or ordered companies to abandon the PGA Tour. No credible report confirms that claim. What is confirmed is that Nicklaus raised concern about the future of heritage events, while Rolapp's approved two-series structure places enormous financial and scheduling pressure on tournaments, title sponsors, players, and television partners, and that pressure could create chaos. Rolapp wants fewer meaningless weeks, more appearances from the best players, larger purses, promotion and relegation, and a cleaner product for fans. It sounds modern, ambitious, and expensive enough to make an accountant reach for oxygen. But what happens when improving the premium product pushes loyal sponsors and historic stops into golf's second division? What happens when a company that spent decades building a tournament is told it must pay far more, accept weaker fields, or move aside? Subscribe now, because Rolapp's 2028 revolution could save the PGA Tour or provoke the most expensive sponsor revolt golf has ever seen. The controversy begins with the new competitive structure approved by the PGA Tour boards in June 2026. Starting in 2028, the organization plans to divide its schedule into two connected levels: the PGA Tour Championship Series and the PGA Tour Challenger Series. The Championship Series will become the premium stage. It is expected to include roughly 23 or 24 events when majors and international team competitions are counted. Regular tournaments will feature approximately 120 players, 36-hole cuts, no alternate list, and no sponsor exemptions. Every official Championship Series event will offer at least $20 million in prize money. The Challenger Series will operate beneath it, with at least 20 tournaments, fields of roughly 144 players, and purses beginning around $4 million. Players can earn promotion upward, while Championship Series players who fail to retain status may be relegated. In theory, it restores consequence: play well and stay with the stars, struggle and fall into the secondary competition, perform brilliantly below and earn another opportunity. It borrows the emotional logic of European football, where promotion creates hope and relegation creates panic. For viewers, that could be compelling. For sponsors, it could feel like receiving a wedding invitation with the bill attached. The tour has already identified 10 regular Championship Series events, with approximately 15 expected. Other existing tournaments must compete for the remaining positions against possible new stops in markets such as Boston, Denver, New York, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington. That means history alone may no longer guarantee safety. A tournament can possess decades of memories, loyal volunteers, charitable relationships, and a title sponsor that supported golf through difficult years. Yet if it does not fit the premium calendar, market strategy, course requirements, or increased financial model, it could land in the Challenger Series. That is where Jack Nicklaus becomes central. Before the final structure was announced, Nicklaus publicly expressed concern that established tournaments should not be discarded while executives redesigned the schedule. His own memorial tournament occupies a protected place among elite events, but his argument reached beyond Muirfield Village. Golf's identity was constructed through recognizable stops, local communities, and sponsors that remained when television ratings were less glamorous. Nicklaus understands that history is not decorative wallpaper. It is part of the product. Fans remember courses, final holes, trophies, weather, collapses, and champions. Remove too many familiar stops, and the tour may discover that scarcity does not automatically create importance. Sometimes scarcity merely means fewer things people recognize. Rolapp sees the opposite danger. The old schedule often scattered elite players across too many events. Sponsors paid serious money without knowing whether the biggest names would appear. Fans struggled to understand which tournaments mattered most. Signature events attempted to solve that problem, but small fields and no-cut formats created criticism that stars were receiving protected paydays. The 2028 plan attacks those weaknesses directly. Fields grow, cuts return. Top players compete together more regularly. Relegation creates consequences. The postseason may introduce match play. Tour championship venues could rotate. The entire system becomes easier to pitch to broadcasters seeking dependable star power. That is Rolapp's case, and it is not foolish. The former NFL executive knows media companies and corporate partners by certainty. A sponsor does not want to invest millions, build hospitality facilities, invite important clients, and then learn that half the recognizable field decided to rest that week. The championship series offers a premium promise. The stars will gather, the purse will matter, and the event will sit inside a coherent season. The problem is the price of admission. Recent reporting indicates that companies backing championship series tournaments may need to commit at least $30 million annually. Multiply that across a collection of elite events, add media agreements, marketing partnerships, hospitality spending, and existing tour contracts, and the corporate ecosystem quickly reaches into billions. That explains the title's billion-dollar stakes. Nicklaus does not need to telephone every chief executive and shout, "Withdraw immediately," for his concern to carry weight. If the most respected living champion tells golf's business community that tradition is being sacrificed, sponsors will listen. They may not leave, but they will ask uncomfortable questions. Will our tournament remain elite? Will the best players attend? Are we paying more for less? What happens to our charity network if the event is relegated? Can another city replace the audience we cultivated for 40 years? Those questions turn a scheduled debate into a financial confrontation. Imagine a longtime title sponsor supporting an event through recessions, leadership changes, and the LIV Golf War. The company helped fund prize money, local charities, broadcasts, and customer experiences. Then executives reveal a shiny new structure and effectively say, "Thank you for your loyalty. Your tournament now belongs downstairs." That conversation will not end with complimentary golf balls. The sponsor might accept challenger status. It might increase investment to chase a premium slot. It might demand contract changes, or it might conclude that another sport can provide greater reach without requiring an annual audition. That is the revolt Rolapp must prevent. The tour reported enormous contractual revenue before announcing the overhaul, including more than $1 billion across dozens of partners. That strength gives Rolapp room to negotiate. It also creates exposure. When an organization depends on large corporate commitments, even limited dissatisfaction can spread quickly. One sponsor leaving is manageable. Several historic partners questioning the model becomes a credibility problem. A coordinated refusal from major companies would be catastrophic. Again, no verified evidence shows Nicklaus has organized such a coordinated withdrawal. The dramatic claim should not be repeated as settled fact, but he does possess something executives cannot purchase: moral authority created through 18 major championships, decades of tournament leadership, and an identity tied to the tour's history. When Jack speaks about protecting tournaments, people hear more than nostalgia. They hear a warning from somebody who helped build the house. Rolapp now has to prove he is renovating that house rather than replacing it with a luxury showroom nobody calls home. His strongest argument is meritocracy. The championship series will not be a permanently closed club. At least 90 of approximately 130 players are expected to retain full status each year, while at least 20 challenger players earn promotion. Multiple challenger victories or a major championship could create immediate upward movement. A fall last chance series will offer another route. That sounds fairer than protecting famous names indefinitely. However, the sponsor side is less obviously merit-based. Players can shoot lower scores. Companies cannot birdie the final hole to save a tournament. Their future may depend on market size, financial capacity, calendar position, venue quality, and negotiations occurring behind closed doors. A beloved event could produce excellent golf and still lose premium status because another city offers more commercial growth. That is not sporting relegation. That is corporate selection wearing golf shoes. The removal of sponsor exemptions adds another complication. Those invitations traditionally allowed tournament organizers to reward local connections, welcome promising young players, support veterans, or create attention through compelling personalities. Rollapp's top series removes them to protect competitive integrity. From a pure merit standpoint, that makes sense. From a sponsor's viewpoint, it removes a valuable tool. A company paying tens of millions may reasonably ask why it cannot invite even one player who strengthens its event. The tour's answer will be that premium competition cannot include favors. The sponsor's answer may be that premium invoices normally include privileges. Somebody will leave that meeting unhappy. The Challenger Series creates another delicate issue. Rolapp insists it will remain meaningful with respected venues, sizable fields, promotion opportunities, and purses of at least $4 million. Several events will receive standalone weeks when championship competition pauses, giving them greater exposure, yet everyone understands the branding. Championship means first tier, Challenger means second tier. Calling it a pathway does not erase the hierarchy. Sponsors attached to downgraded tournaments may fear weaker television windows, fewer stars, smaller hospitality demand, and reduced public prestige. The tour must offer those partners more than motivational language. It needs measurable broadcast support, scheduling protection, promotional resources, and a convincing economic reason to remain. Otherwise, Challenger events could become beautifully maintained waiting rooms. Nicklaus's intervention, whether limited to public concern or expanded through private conversations, therefore forces a necessary question. How much history can the PGA Tour sacrifice while claiming to protect its future? Not every old event deserves permanent immunity. Tradition can become an excuse for stagnation. Some tournaments occupy weak calendar positions, struggle to attract leading players, or fail to create national attention. Rolapp was hired to make difficult decisions, not preserve every tradition inside glass, but change requires judgment. The tour survived because sponsors supported more than star gatherings. They financed regional relationships and charitable institutions. They gave volunteers and fans recurring local ownership of professional golf. A streamlined national product could accidentally weaken that network. The irony is sharp. Rolapp wants to make every event matter. Yet creating a clearly superior series may announce that half the schedule matters less. He wants simplicity, but promotion rules, separate points systems, fall qualification, international events, majors, team competitions, and simultaneous tours could require a flowchart large enough to cover a clubhouse wall. He wants scarcity, but top players appearing almost every premium week may make their meetings feel routine rather than rare. None of those problems guarantees failure. They simply reveal why Nicklaus's traditionalist warning deserves serious attention. Tiger Woods also complicates the rebellion narrative. He chaired the Future Competition Committee that developed the model. The group included active players and experienced business figures, and the tour says it conducted extensive meetings with players, partners, advisory bodies, and boards. This was not Rolapp, scribbling a new sport on a napkin during lunch. If Nicklaus becomes the symbolic defender of heritage, Tiger becomes the symbolic architect of change. Golf would then face an extraordinary contrast between its two most influential modern champions. But that should not be exaggerated into a personal feud. No verified evidence shows Nicklaus and Woods exchanging threats or fighting for control. Their positions can reflect different responsibilities. Tiger's committee had to design a sustainable competitive system. Jack is free to remind that committee what spreadsheets may overlook. Rolapp needs both voices. He needs Tiger's willingness to rebuild. He needs Jack's insistence that rebuilding should preserve the foundations worth keeping. The smartest compromise would establish transparent standards for selecting championship events, meaningful protections for heritage tournaments, and guaranteed commercial support for challenger sponsors. The tour should explain how market expansion, history, charitable impact, course quality, fan demand, and financial contribution are weighted. Without transparency, every exclusion will look political. It should also create movement for tournaments, not only players. If a challenger event delivers strong ratings, attendance, sponsorship, and competitive quality, It should have a defined route toward championship status. If a premium tournament consistently underperforms, its expensive label should not become permanent armor. That would make Rollapp's meritocracy credible across the entire ecosystem. Sponsors must also receive honest audience projections. Promising every partner increased value is impossible when the structure intentionally separates premium inventory from secondary inventory. Some will gain, others will lose. Pretending otherwise only delays the anger. Nicklaus can help by turning concern into specific principles rather than a generalized defense of the past. Which events deserve protection and why? How many heritage exemptions should exist? What standards must they meet? How should the tour balance history against new markets? Those answers would transform his influence from resistance into guidance. And Rolapp must resist dismissing criticism as nostalgia. Golf's older audience remembers when corporate loyalty kept events alive. Treating those supporters like obstacles would be commercially reckless and personally insulting. The real crisis is not that Jack Nicklaus has already commanded billion-dollar sponsors to escape. That claim remains unverified. The crisis is that Rollapp's plan creates conditions in which sponsor resistance becomes plausible. Companies are being asked to invest more money inside a hierarchy that could elevate some tournaments and diminish others. Historic partners want certainty. New markets want opportunity. Players want access. Broadcasters want stars. Fans want tradition and clarity at the same time. Rolapp is trying to fit all of them into one golf bag. Something may snap. That possibility should alarm everyone invested in professional golf's survival. If he succeeds, the 2028 structure could restore meaningful competition and protected no-cut paydays, create understandable promotion races, and deliver stronger tournaments throughout the season. The PGA Tour could enter its next media negotiations with a premium, dependable product. If he fails, the Championship Series could become too expensive. The Challenger Series could lose relevance. Heritage stops could disappear, and loyal sponsors could decide their decades of support purchased no security. That is when Nicklaus's warning becomes a rallying cry. Not because he controls corporate America, but because his name gives frustrated partners permission to say tradition still has financial value. The Golden Bear does not need another trophy. Rolapp needs sponsors, players, broadcasters, and fans to believe his revolution improves the tour without erasing its memory. Golf fans, what is your verdict? Should Rolapp protect historic tournaments inside the Championship Series, or should every event compete for its position regardless of tradition? Drop your opinion in the comments. If you believe the PGA Tour owes longtime sponsors complete transparency, hit the like button and share this video with another golf fan. Subscribe for every major update, controversy, and clubhouse clash, because the battle over 2028 is nowhere near the 18th green. Rollapp's next sponsor decision could secure golf's future or turn Jack Nicklaus's warning into a billion-dollar revolt.